Okay, so the big red button's hit right now. I'm already stressed out. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Natives in America podcast. This is your host, Benjamin Juan. With me, as always, is Sky Anton.
What's up? How's it going?
I hope it's going well.
Bruh.
So, regular setup here, people. We got Sky out in the Ville. Tonight I'm up here in Tucson, and I'm going to tell you right now, I already got my pants off. Visualize what you will. My pants are off right now. It's been one of those days, you know, you walk in the door and the pants come off. Alright, so that's what we're doing tonight. Any updates, Sky? Like, today's Wednesday and we're going to record Wednesday, so we're probably going to release on Thursday, right?
Yeah, I hope so. I'm wearing my pants.
Well,
it's the other way for me in shirts.
Yeah?
Once I walk through the doors of my house, the shirt comes off.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying you're wearing a turtleneck and a sweater vest right now.
No.
Corduroy pants, like that's your comfort zone, huh? Yeah, I think the shirt comes off when it's hot. Like, I think there's nothing less stressful than the pants are off. You know what I mean? Like, they're off, you're comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much like nothing. Yeah. You're not going to be required to put those on the rest of the day, so they must just come off.
Yeah.
What's up? I didn't even know you were in town.
Oh yeah, bro. I don't update you on all my whereabouts, but tonight, yes, I'm in town, and I just want to tell the listeners that whenever me and Sky are in person, usually our pants are both on, so everybody should know that. We don't like even in the days when we finally get the camera going, I'm pretty sure our pants are gonna stay on. Okay, so let's not establish.
Pants are mandatory. It's not an optional thing.
Yeah. The majority of the time, this is a mandatory pants podcast. Okay, so there's no. This is. Go ahead.
I was gonna say keep your pants on.
Nice. Well, okay, so I'm gonna dive right into it. This is I was telling Sky I wanted to talk about mushrooms. I don't know how many times I've already told the stories of the past couple of experiences I've had. But I want to go a little deeper. I'm sure some of the listeners are probably tired of it, or he's just whatever this. What I want to talk about tonight is stressors, things regular, normal people do to take care of their stress, how to manage it, and then maybe mushrooms and medicine, and how they all kind of play into the same circles. So maybe we'll say mushrooms as medicine. How's that sound to you?
I think you're on something.
Something. Okay. So.
A trip.
Yeah. No. Well. I went into a rabbit hole today. I forget exactly how it started. I think I was on Instagram. I know a lot. I haven't really been on there, but the past week or so. Well, excuse me. Past week or so, I've been out on the res, doing my own thing. But I haven't been sleeping very well. I've been staying up a lot of late nights. I've been going to sleep about 3 o'clock in the morning. And that's I'm up watching TV, can't go to sleep. or I'm on Instagram, got my phone out, and I'm like just scanning. Like I have so many follows, I don't even see all the content I follow. I just kind of scroll, see what I like, try to get some laughs. And sometime today, there was a live broadcast. They're doing, there's a live video going on right now. And it was between a Dr. Paul Stamets and I want to say a director. I don't know if he's a scientist because I haven't. You got your handy dandy computer open and ready to go?
Locked and loaded.
Okay, so Louis. Damn, I noted his name in my head. He was the director of a little video on Netflix called Fantastic Fungi. Or Fungi for you fun guys out there. Can you look that up? The director of
Schwartzberg.
Yeah. I was gonna say Schwartzton or something like that. Okay, so these two guys were going back and forth between each other. There's Dr. Paul Stamets. He's a pretty well-known mycologist, which is basically somebody who studies mushrooms. He's like a self-made scientist, and I think it all started with like psychedelics. Apparently he was a lumberjack at some point, which they go over in the movie, but it was like he started off cutting down trees, and then in the process him and his brother wound up finding or talking about mushrooms and what they were dealing with, what they were seeing growing in the plants, and it kind of fueled his interest into mushrooms. And so I'm on Instagram. I'm kind of bored, kind of like I'm almost over scrolling, and then I see like, hey, there's a live video between. I think his actual site on Instagram is Fantastic Fungi. We can look that up. But his whole thing, his website, his Instagram page, they're doing the live videos between the director of his film Fantastic Fungi, and then it was Dr. Paul Stamets. And they were just talking about mushrooms, and they kept referencing Fantastic Fungi, and I've heard of it before, but never actually went and watched it. And I really wanted to. It sounded so damn interesting, but I never just, like, they said it was on Netflix, and I never saw it. Like, as I'm scrolling through the videos, I never actually saw it. So I looked it up this time. There it was. It popped up, and it was talking. It starts out this whole thing about how old mushrooms are and how far back our relationship to mushrooms go. And it's one of the oldest multicellular organisms on the planet. Like 600 million years ago is like one of the oldest mushrooms they found in like I think it was either a lava flow or in some rock. It was preserved, fully grown mushroom. Now, so that's a little background on how my little wormhole started today. Now, on stress, me and Sky were already talking about stress. I got pretty stressed out about a half hour ago. There's plenty of things in our lives that get us kind of stressed out. Things get out of hand, conversations, just bad moments between you and your boss. Maybe you stub your toe and that gets your blood pressure up, and then, from there on, nothing goes right. And there's stressors. There's things that kind of set off this process in your body that makes you kind of start to stress out. You start to experience, like some people get nausea, some people's blood pressure goes up, some people get dizzy. I tend to get angry or frustrated when I'm getting stressed out, and I start getting like moody and kind of like short tempered. Like I got like a quick snap response to anything and everything. And when I start doing that, I'm like, I start to recognize it, because then I start snapping at people who don't deserve it, or I'm like, I'm just worked up, and it seems like any little thing can kind of set it off at that point. Once the stressor first hits and starts. So, on that note, I'm saying, I'm trying to paint a picture here for all of us to kind of understand there's a lot of factors going on in your life on a daily basis, moment to moment, and there are factors that I want to call stressors that scientists call stressors, and they're just basically little factors that play into the larger picture of your life, whether it be the rest of your life, some horrible experience, and something that reminds you of the horrible experience. There's little things that can set you off. Now, are you with me, Sky?
Yeah.
You're the only one I can ask. I can't, like, hey, audience, like, live feed. Let's, are you guys with me?
I am kinda. Now I'm just thinking about the new age, the newer kids, like how they're kind of exposed, like, or just maybe the internet itself, how we kind of put ourselves out there.
Yeah.
And that can be stressful.
Yeah.
So, but then, not to say we want the stress, but it kind of just comes along with maybe success or, you know, somebody trying to accomplish things. Like, sometimes you need stress.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's the negative stressors and positive stressors that kind of fuel you too. I mean, they kind of energize you or kind of get you to have a different movement. So, yeah, I think I'm managing. Well, I don't know if I'm managing my stress, because as you're talking about it, I'm like, I'm not stressed, but I think I'm kind of like trying to sweep it under the rug. Okay. Because I could get stressed out about something, but I also cannot. Like, I shouldn't. So, I don't know. I don't know if that's a good way to see things, or...
No, well, let's talk about it. So, what was I gonna say? So like I just said, I start getting the short temper, get snappy. When I finally calm down after the fact, and I do that in different ways, I always feel silly. Like, why the hell did I let myself get that far?
Yeah.
Why did I let that little thing get to me? It's really not that big a deal, but at the time, boom, got me there. It's a stressor and got me. So when we were talking about my stressful hour earlier, I kind of wanted to make the point that to me, you, Sky, have always kind of seemed like a cooler, more relaxed dude. Like you're kind of a little more even keel.
Think so?
Well, it seems like it. It's like our times together. Like whenever I'm around you, you always kind of got like a nice little joke going on. You got like yeah, what's up, guy? Like you just kind of seem kind of relaxed. And maybe it's because a lot of times when I'm around you, I'm a bit of a more stressor. Or, and I'm not saying you stress me out. I'm saying like I always feel like I'm crazy when I'm telling you about stuff that stresses me out. And maybe that's like a judgment call from me. It's like, oh man, like I must be a more stressed out dude. The Sky over here is fucking cool breeze, shooting the breeze over here. He's all good. And he's laughing like that, like you just seem relaxed, like.
I can't help it.
Yeah.
I mean, but I get stressed out. I get pissed off.
Yeah.
I guess maybe I'd let it all out in another lifetime or something. But, no, I mean, maybe it has to be something really, or that's maybe something, too, that I need to channel.
Yeah.
because I think there's some kind of, I guess there's that, I mean, again, the energy of it to where it's not dark, but it can get dark, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I think that's kind of that whole where I was saying afterwards, I'm like, why did I let myself get that far? I think we all have this ability, like say you exercised one day, and the next day some stressor came along. Because you exercised, you had released some demons or whatever, you kind of worked some stuff off, and then boom, you get faced by a new stressor. It doesn't stress you out as much. It didn't get you to that high point this time. And then say same scenario, same stressor comes along, but say you didn't get enough sleep the night before. Say you're a little late for work. Say you didn't have as much money as you thought you had in the bank, and then boom, the stressor comes along. And I'm saying these are stressors. I'm naming off stressors too. It's like you get enough stresses together, boom, you're up there. I'm up there.
Yeah.
So
I mean, like taxes. I mean, that's the opportunity to get stressed out.
You want to elaborate a little, or you mean like tax time?
Yeah. I mean, because I think there's a lot of like, oh, you have an extension, another extension, so those have been getting away, but I procrastinate when it comes to that deadline of tax season, and I just create that stress in my head, like, like, I gotta get it done, and it's like, I'm gonna get it done. It's like, the time frame of what I have, of how much time I have to get it done, I'm just like, oh man, that time is coming, that's running low, so it's like, that stresses me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do that. I still do that. I mean, I don't know what it is, because I think it's more of just like growing up, and yet I've been doing my taxes for as long as I could have, but I think maybe in the past there might have been, even my mom, like, I think my mom was more helpful in the beginning, to where she was like almost doing everything for me. Yeah. And she stopped. I had to do it by myself, so now it's like I stress myself out about that. I just not realizing it now, but it's almost like a silly game in my head, because I get it done, or I figure out a way to get it done. I don't know. This stress is also kind of reminds me of like the college years, the deadlines and having to submit things.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. Like, you were in college, all that time, you came out with a degree, but like, I think a lot of people can relate to, we got to get that paper in. And for the life of me, you went into creative writing, which I considered, but like at the same time, it's like, man, that was a career that you had picked where there's probably a paper due every week, some sort of paper due every class, and like the procrastination must have played a factor. I'm a horrible procrastinator, as everybody knows on this podcast. I'm constantly getting it out late, or something, like if something comes up, I gotta, like, oh man, now I gotta rush. So the deadline, it's a stressor, a deadline, gotta get it in. Procrastinating, leads to it. Like sometimes, I liked how you mentioned sweeping it under the rug, because that's kind of the next part of this that I want to talk about. Is like, what do you do to deal with the stress? And like when you sweep something under the rug, it's not really, maybe not taking care of it, but it is dealing with it in a way. It's like, oh, that's stressful. I don't want to think about it right now. I'm gonna sweep it under the rug. Like, I'm a little stressed out now to think about it, so I'm not gonna feel that stress right now. I'm gonna feel it later. Because right now I don't need it. You know what I mean?
Ooh, yeah.
So I'm glad you brought it up, because it's like, all right, let's talk about what you do about it, or what do we have available to do about it?
Coffee.
Okay.
Coffee, energy drinks.
Okay. Is that dealing with procrastination, or is there?
I think that's dealing with my sleep.
Okay.
Maybe getting tired midday and needing a little boost.
Yeah.
But if you're tired, you might not be getting as much productivity. Or if you're not fully rested, you're not 100%. So midday you're low on your energy. You might want to pop a little Red Bull or this is other energy drink.
You got one right now?
Energy drink, yeah, I do actually. The Monster.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's say the brand so we get some funding in here.
Yeah, Monster.
Monster.
I rock a Monster jersey.
Yeah. Well, we gotta work on that camera view, and I think I got that figured out. Okay.
Oh, but no, this is other energy drink that it's not there's like no calories or something. I mean, it's not, and it's not. So there's no sugar. But it's a little. I can tell the difference between a Monster and that. Like, I don't know, just trying different. Sort of like, they're not remedies, but they're just kind of little fixers. But yeah, I think sometimes I stress out about not getting enough sleep. Because I know I'm not getting enough sleep. Because I'm tired. Yeah. It's midday.
Yeah, that's I think out of most stressors, that's probably a big key one for that anybody can relate to is, did you get enough sleep last night? Did something happen? You didn't get enough sleep, and now you're a little stressed out. Maybe not even like I was talking about trying to control the stressor, saying, "Oh, why did I let myself get that way?" I think there's either I don't want to call them all A-type personalities, but like people, I'm sure there's people out there listening to this going, "Man, these guys don't know what they're doing. They can't control their emotions." Like there's people out there that are like, "Oh man, I would have just went to sleep. These guys got control issues." Like, "Oh, I would have just did it on time, and then I'd be chill the rest of the way." But it's like I think it's like a method that we develop. Like there's good habits and bad habits, and sometimes some of those bad ones stick. Or maybe you're busy and like some priorities will take a backseat to others.
Yeah, I mean, I think we managed to have a fun time throughout the process, but we might put the important stuff at the end.
Sometimes.
But I think it's also our ego to where it's like, I can get this done. I have enough time to get it done, and then we just don't manage our time right.
Nice.
and then we're
it's like, oh, this is easy. Got it in the bag. I didn't even do it, but I got it in the bag.
Yeah.
I think that was a big one for me. Like, take this how it sounds, everybody. All right, but take it how it sounds. I got good grades in high school, and I was barely trying. All right, like it was and that's not even something to go, oh, I'm very proud of this. It's like, not really, like, no, but it was kind of that thing. I knew what I was doing. I understood the work, and I knew I could get the work done in the classroom and at home, so I didn't stress on it. I wasn't always one of those people like running around like, oh God, I gotta do this. And there were really smart people around me that would stress the hell out too. And I'd be like, you poor soul, I got this. Like, I don't know why you don't got it. I know you got it, but why are you so stressed out? So there you go. I was one of those people too, going, like, why didn't you just do this or something? But I think I just got away with a lot more than I should have. I was like, all right, I could get a whole paper done in a night, day and a half. Now, was it my best work? Probably not, because I didn't, I could have got it done early, rewritten it maybe once, maybe twice, and then that third paper would have been the shit. But for me, it was like, I can do a great paper, or let's say a decent paper, in one shot. With a fair amount of editing. Like I would still go over it, but I wouldn't be like, oh, I gotta rewrite this thing. I'd be like, nailed it. Like it was, I got it.
Yeah, the perception.
Yeah.
Versus
exactly.
Actuality is sometimes not on the same page.
Yeah, exactly. So I could have been handed in a piece of shit,
Yeah. But I don't know, what was it? Was it I guess the excitement of getting it done versus not getting it done, or I mean, again, like I said, like pressure or stress, whatever you want to call it, sometimes it's helpful. I mean, even like think about a surgeon or somebody defecting a bomb, and how they might be in a lot weighing on you, but you still gotta pull through and get the task done. So I think we all kind of play with that idea of, I'm gonna get it done, but maybe there's some safe where, hey, if I do it now and worry about how good it is, I don't know. But then, I mean, you talk about that way, because I think some assignments, not in high school, but maybe in college, where they really meant a lot, what I was submitting, versus something that I had to pick what you wanted me to write about.
Yeah.
And it wasn't.
That wasn't as exciting.
I didn't have a direct tie to it. I had to find how I felt about it and then write about it, versus this came out of my soul, and now I'm turning it into a paper, and you're going to critique it.
Yeah.
So I think all of us kind of gravitate towards what we want to learn. Like, we talked about this before, but like what we like, and I guess what we're willing to stress about, or what we're willing to push ourselves to even, even want to get better at, or to turn in something, like decent, or. Again, I think maybe high school we were just like not coasting, but saying if we can get away with coasting. Just the way you're describing it, because I felt like that for a while when I think it was not until like maybe 7th grade, the math teacher told me that I wasn't where I was supposed to be. Like I was doing horrible in the class. Yeah, I wasn't used to being told that. I was like, I'm usually good at math, so for once I was struggling with it. I didn't realize that till 7th grade. Like, oh damn, like, no, maybe math is something that I need to hone more or put more time into, and that's kind of how it felt like. For the rest of the time, like math, I spent some late nights trying to work on an equation because I wanted to do good on it. I wanted to figure it out.
Yeah, I think you really nailed it with perception and the whole digging out of your soul. Like, I think there was a mix of teachers that I wanted to do good for. I enjoyed their class. I could tell they worked hard, and I didn't want them thinking I wasn't working hard on their work.
Yeah.
That I took them serious and I was going to do it. So there were classes that I did better on. There were classes like where I put a little more effort into it. I was working hard on it. And as far as coasting. Well, I wanted to make a little note on perception. Was one of my first eye openers. I went to here's my dorkiness right here. I went to a robotics summer camp, and when I was there, I walked in, still had the same kind of big confidence, big head, big ego. Like you said, that was a good point to point out, is ego, and. Questions would get asked, and I was just like, I got this, like about to raise my hand or whatever, like I'm going to throw something down, and then 2 or 3 other people jumped on it ahead of me, and they nailed it. I was like, and it was like an eye-opener. It was like, whoa, like, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. I'm surrounded with people that are at my level and better. Here, they're all around me. And, that was a kick in the teeth. It was it usually took a kick in the teeth for me to realize, like, all right, if I'm gonna compete, I gotta fucking I gotta kick myself in the ass every now and then. And I think another time I was at work, and it was one of my first jobs, and like this one manager brought me aside, and he's like, hey, like, what's going on with you? I was like, what? And I think I was tired that day, or I think I had like just a bad week. I think I was having like relationship problems or something, like whatever it was. The guy pulled me aside and he's like, look, man, he's like, you got this ability. Like, when we first met you, like, all of us were impressed. These managers, they're like, oh man, like, Ben, he goes out, he does all this stuff. Like, man, he's really a go-getter. He gets all this stuff. But then every now and then you have a day you come in and you just didn't care. You would work at the level as everybody else, and it stuck out because you had the ability before. You tried really hard in the beginning. We saw it all, and then when you didn't do it, and really you're doing the same amount of work as everybody else, but you had already shown what you could do, and now you're not doing it. So, like, what's going on? Because I had like a bad week where I would just show up and do what I had to do, and that was another kick in the teeth to be called out on it. It's like, listen, we don't like this bend. Like, look, like this isn't cool. Like, yeah, you're doing the work, just like everybody else, but we know you can do better. And it shows. It shows when you don't. I'm like, all right, like, okay, like, damn, kick in the teeth. So, growing up as we did, like, I'm used to doing yard work, like, as a kid, like, stuff kids don't want to do. I learned to do that sort of stuff. Like, I learned to push myself. Like, there was already the development of, like, this work ethic, but it took events like that to get the shit kicked out of me. Like, the little kick in the teeth, something to tell you, hey, you can do better.
Yeah.
You're capable of more, but it took that. Like, as we're developing, I think we're all kind of figuring out what we're doing, figuring out who we are, what we're capable of.
Yeah.
And from those jobs on, from that, like, that's something that stuck with me, what that guy said. And I remembered it at other jobs, like, all right, I even discussed it with myself in the beginning, like, what kind of work am I going to be? And the thing is, the guy I am, I'd rather be working hard. I'd rather be seen working hard. I'd rather that my work speak for itself. And the way I started developing that was like, look, I want them to not be able to fire me. I want them to not be able to function without my extra hard work. Like, it's like, my work's going to speak for itself. I want to be the word is indispensable. I want to be indispensable.
Yeah.
And I got better at that. And I got way better at that. Went to college, in the beginning of college, I kind of coasted. I tried to. But then it's like, hey, there were a lot more hardcore on outside of the classroom homework. I was like, I got away with it before. Thought I could in college. No, you can't. So in the beginning, I straight flunked out. It was like I think I made like a year and a half in, good grades. Third year it started to decline. Fourth semester, fourth semester, I had to flunk out. I had to leave. I was like, man, I'm screwing it up. I was separated. My mind was like, oh, I can't wait to get out of class. I'm gonna go party because, like, that's what I want to do now. That's what I'm doing right now at this age of my life. And I don't know where I'm going with all this. I kind of got carried away. There was points I wanted to make.
I think it's again something you're willing to stress about when you're when you're sort of even pushing yourself to do, like.
All right, and that touches on your positive stressor.
Yeah.
That guy stressed me out. I had to go home that night and go, wow, they don't think so much of me now, so I'm getting stressed. Got to turn it into something good, and luckily I did. Otherwise, it could have been, way worse. This could have been, the beginning of my path for the rest of my life. So,
yeah. No, that's I guess maybe there's a bare minimum of what we can do, and to kind of go above that, is, kind of what defines you, your character.
Yeah.
Or you just need to just do what you need to do, or, are you going to go even further and, maybe help out somebody next to you, or just keep the flow going. There's been jobs where, you're on a crew, or even a staff, where, you kind of, this is what I bring to the table. I think when you're saying, like, what you bring, or what you, I guess, being not indispensable, but sort of like one of a kind, or not what people are buying or what you're selling, but I guess what can be sold, your
Yeah. Yeah.
Or your style. And that's what I've been kind of noticing now is I think we all kind of gotta appreciate our own style.
Mm-hmm.
Because not everyone's gonna do something the same.
Yeah.
You know, someone might have a little bit more flair, which is fine, but again, I think finding where you're comfortable, you know, being yourself, where you're actually motivated to be stressed out about the work because you want to do a good job versus I'm here to clock in and do my time,
yeah,
and then clock out and not have to.
Yeah,
yeah.
5 minutes early, you're clocking out.
So, yeah, I mean.
Yeah, there. Or what do you mean? Go ahead. Like I like.
I was like, when you were talking about stress, like, you know, like I was thinking about like loans and, you know, just kind of, you know, even my debt. That I mean, I could stress out about that like all day.
Yeah.
But you know, and it's not like I'm not doing anything to try to get rid of that stressor, but I think, yeah, I mean, whether it be a bill or a grade, you know, sometimes the stress can get the best of you.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of like what you were talking about in the high school terms when someone might have been more concerned about the performance, but that was in college too. I remember kids, you know, freaking out because their GPA wasn't where it's supposed to be. But yeah, I'm like, scholarships, you gotta have certain GPAs, and you know, like you get one bad assignment and that grade messes up your whole GPA. You know, like you know, that could. And then it's even it's still somebody that's still considered a minor, where they might are still just barely an adult to just feel like, oh man, I owe all this money, and you know, and I'm gonna, I don't know what goes through someone that young. I mean, I remember feeling that stress, but like. It's not like it went away, but I think also sort of where, you know, how the world really works. You know, things are going to be okay, or at least there's, I know maybe that's just, you know, because, you know, I have family that will take care of me, or, you know, like, I don't have to worry about being homeless, at least. I don't know. I mean, I don't know like, how far it can go where you're stressing out, where you're, like, I guess does everyone stressed, like, take them to, I just imagine, like getting evicted or something, or I don't know. I guess maybe when you're young, your imagination just creates all these crazy things. But like as you get older, you know, maybe it's not as bad as it sounds, or you know, you can call them and figure it out. But yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like, again, back to like a younger kid or someone young growing up now, there might be a lot more things to stress out about.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't know if education is one of them.
Oh, hell yeah, it is.
Think so?
Yeah, man. Oh yeah. I liked what you said about finding your own style and shaping as a kid, because I think some of us find it early, like maybe by our raising or like our environment, but like it's like some of us find our rhythm early and some of us find it late. You know, like say you spent your whole life like afraid of the world, you know, you're scared to do what you have to do, scared of people, scared of yourself, scared of your dad, like scared of anything really, or stressed by it. And then you reach a certain time in your life and you realize, like, okay, like I think mortality has something to do with this. Like, all right, well, I think that's what's kind of changed me lately was mortality. It's like, all right, look, if I were to die tomorrow, am I doing what I want to do? And that flipped my script hard. Like I'm at the age where people are already, you know, dying of heart attacks and stuff. You know, I've had a few scares myself, and I was like, okay, am I doing what I want to do? Like, I was pretty, I was happy for the most part of what I was doing. I was making good money, you know, providing. Got my son. I'm happy. I was a family man kind of thing. Like there was a whole part of my life where I was a family man, and it turns out that's all I wanted. I was like, all right, this is where I want to be. I like having the kids, you know, the lady. Got the house, the yard, like we got our vehicles. We each had our own vehicle. It was like, all right, this is, and you know, at that moment that, you know, you take a little picture of that space and time. I was like, hey, this is the life. This is what I've been missing. This is what I want. And then, you know, you grow older and it changes. Or it doesn't, you know, or you keep going.
Yeah.
So, like, I found my groove at different times in my life. Like, I think I had one groove, you know, middle school. I think football, playing in middle school, like, boosted my confidence. Then it carries over into high school. Like, my mind's working, it's going. I know the work. I like most of the work. I like my teachers. So then it's like, all right, I'm doing okay in school. Then you go to college, and it's like, oh God, there's all this stuff going on. I want this, I want that, I want that. And like, what I loved about college is you pick what the hell you want to do. Where are you going? What classes are you taking? It's like you had all this control over this life, where before you were being told what exactly you're going to do. So, according to like your groove, like you said, and like it's called the rhythm. It's like we find it at different times in our lives. And I liked how you said the difference between what you're into, like, or are you pulling this out of your ass, or is this coming from your heart and soul because you're into it? Like when I going into medicine, it was everything. And that was another point in my life when I went to that. It just suddenly, I had this, I don't want to say it was a horrible talk because it led to so much good, but it was like, I had this talk with my mom, like, what are you doing with your life? I'm like, I'm here, hanging out, you know, got kind of a job of making my own money and my own boss. And I knew that's kind of what I wanted, but it wasn't doing what I wanted to do. And then, like, I had remembered thinking about inspirations I had before, like, wow, I could do that. Like, I was watching, again, movies, man. Movies are a big influence in my life. I was watching movies about, I think, they weren't EMTs. I became an EMT, but they were paramedics.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I could do that. I want to do that. And I never thought about it again. It's just, you know, up in the middle of the night again, watching movies. And then I had this horrible, great gratifying conversation with my mom. I keep going to horrible because I felt horrible when we were talking, like, oh, what are you doing with your life? And then I was like, well, maybe I'll do this, you know? How about that? You know? And when I changed my life and took on that path, it was like, wow, this is important. This is interesting to me. this is beautiful. I could help people. And boom, I took off of it. I took it and ran with it. Like in a month or two, I moved from where I was to Tucson. Got enrolled in college. Found a course, like a line of courses that will get me where I wanted to go. Transportation. I didn't even have a home in the beginning. I slept on the floor of my buddy's house. They'd go to sleep, and I'd be just getting back from school, like sleeping on his living room floor on a fucking mattress on the ground. And it was great. And then from there, I wound up getting my own place, but it was like way later. Started making some money, working at a hospital, not even as an EMT, but in medicine. And I remember studying like harder than I had ever studied before, and I had already been out of college like 4 years. I went back to college, and I started kicking ass. It was like, all right, I got these courses to take, and I'm gonna tear them up. Like, I started going to the library. Like, I never went to the library before. I'd rather go home, and instead at home I'd be like hanging out with my people, drinking, barbecuing, doing all this stuff. Excuse me.
Xbox.
Huh?
Xbox.
Yeah, man, tearing it up, like just doing my own thing. But this time around, I still owned an Xbox, but it was like, I gotta study for the next thing. Like every time you come in, there's a quiz. It's like, all right, I gotta read this chapter, or the next 2 chapters. So, and it was a big thick book, and it's like, all right, I gotta read it. I had 3-hour ride to school, 3-hour ride back. And I was reading or sleeping. I was doing a lot of sleeping. Like, I'd go to the library, read for an hour, and pass out of my book. Get back up, start reading again. I was doing flashcards. I was doing group meetings. Like, I was like, let's get this grade. I'm gonna be the best EMT I can be. And I got it. I got what I wanted, and I was like, man, this is important. And it was from the heart. I wanted it. It's still in me. It's like,
but that was like positive stress, right?
Oh yeah. I was stressed the fuck out all the time, but it was beautiful. It was getting exactly what I wanted, and at the same time I was getting like praise and respect from my parents. It wasn't like, what are you doing with your life anymore? It was like, hey, keep going. It's like there was encouragement. And there was possibility, and there was plenty of stress, but it was all going somewhere. It was leading to something that I wanted really bad, and it was important. Like, there you go. Like if I didn't study right in this one point, somebody could get hurt. I could get hurt. Like, it was important. And yeah. So good stress, but it was still a stressor.
Yeah. Well, that's how the cookie crumbles.
and also at the same time, I was at a different age. I was at an age. I had already done the crap. I already did all my partying. I did the barbecuing. Like, I still did it during that time, but I knew what I was missing. I was like, all right, there's something missing. There's something I'm not doing. And I didn't feel right until I got it. And I didn't even know what it was at the time.
Yeah, it's like we have these stages in our life where, we go to school, then we want to kick back, but then we're also where we got to kind of be responsible and develop our role in society, I guess. But it reminds me of this time when we're like heading back after a tournament, and the kids are like, let's go to the mall. And I remember wanting to go to the mall when I was a young kid. And I loved the mall. And all kids love the mall. But myself, as an old man, old fart, like, I ain't trying to go to the mall. I don't. But I just like pretty much told them like, hey, that chapter is done. Like, I've seen it all.
Yeah.
Like, no more malls.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still going to the mall, but it's just I don't want to hang out there. And like, but that time when my wife passed, like, I hung out enough at the mall. Like, that wasn't like I got what I got out of that. I moved on to the next stage of not wanting to hang out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's kind of, I don't know, like, do you think you would have had a different profession if your parents were your parents? Like, as you said, like, you felt good because your parents felt like proud of what you were doing, but...
Well, there was a long period where they absolutely didn't like what I was doing. I think it was when I was valeting. I was valeting cars and drinking all the time. And I was valeting because I had flunked out. I was out of college, and it was because I was partying too much. Then I went up, and I was like, hey, maybe I could drive, like, rich people's cars. I'll drive their cars and, like, get this. I had to turn it into something cool. I was like, you know what, I'm driving badass cars. I'm doing this cool laid-back thing, not too much responsibility. I can go party, and I'm making enough money. Like, I was okay. I was content for a while. But my parents weren't happy. They weren't happy with it at all. You know, I was like, damn. They're like, what are you doing? Again, that question, what are you doing? I'm like, you know, I'm living life at a certain age. You know, at a certain age. And what's funny is, like, like you said about people getting that bad grade, there were people that had the drive that I got in my later years that had it, you know, day one or maybe since middle school. Now they're in high school. They got to get that good grade. I had a friend, she got a C once in high school. I think it was high school. It was either middle school. It had to be high school. And she lost her shit. Like just couldn't. I don't know if she ever contemplated it, but like sometimes you see somebody and you see in their eye that they've lost all hope. It's like, oh, this is the end of the world. And I've had that, but it was never really over a grade. It was over like, yeah, really, this is the end of the world. Like, I've been to jail. All right, I'll put that out there, and I'll leave it at that. But it was like, first time going in, woo, that was the end of the world, you know? And then, you know, something else happens in life. It's like, man, this is the end of the world. And it happened a few times to the point where I was like, you know what, this isn't shit. I'll be okay. But, like, to watch my friend go through that over the sea, it was like, you're ridiculous. But to you, it's that important. It means nothing to me. Like, I would have been fine. In fact, I probably had a C in some other class. Like, it was like, I'm good. What's wrong with you? To them, it was the end of the world. Like perspective, like you said earlier. It's like, what's going on in your life that, you know, this is how you're going to handle this stressor. Are you prepared for it? Have you learned good habits or bad habits? And what are you going to do when this stress hits? And, yeah, so like, and even then, like, I had two parents that, one was they were both in the military, but like one had a great experience, the other came back completely fucked up. I'll let you guess which one, but it's like, alright, in my eyes, I was going to be the other one. The one that came back fucked up. I kind of knew I'd be that. But now, like, so I didn't go to the military, but I had friends go, and they had a great time. They lived their life, and I kind of wish I did, so I would have missed that whole first horrible entrance into college, and maybe came back with a little more discipline, or maybe the kind of discipline I had when I came back later. You know, I still would have got the partying out, but maybe I would have been more disciplined. And maybe I wouldn't have that kind of bad record in the beginning. So it's like, Now, in my older age, I'm like, damn, I should have went to the military. I wish I had, but I didn't. So it's like, I think when these events happen, it's really on you. What are you gonna do when when the shit hits the fan? When these stressors appear?
Yeah.
When they come a calling, what are you gonna do?
Well, I think there's like, besides the positive and negative, there's that stress to your, I guess, your role in your family, and then maybe stress up like your individual, what it is you need to, be successful in your journey.
Yeah.
Like those stressors or whatever are just modern stressors of, human existence, internet. I don't know, there's just all these different bills we pay.
Yeah.
Trying to map all that out. I think even me and my mom, like, that's always been a thing with me and my mom, where, like, I try not, we have very similar, like, we're so similar that, even when I try to go and do something separate, I end up doing something similar to what she did, and, like, I see it, but when the more I try to separate it, it still falls back to where, hey, that's like where she's saying, hey, I did that too.
You wanted to go your own path.
Well, I realize, like, sometimes going my own path is you learn stuff that way, but then sometimes taking their advice or learning from what the path they took, it's like, oh, that was actually a smoother route. But I don't think, my mom never told me, like, you gotta follow my footsteps. I think it just naturally happened, but like now where I'm at, like, I think there's this like, I feel like there was a time when people were going to school to get their masters or going to graduate school, like, because it helped them get maybe a higher paying job, or they were able to work at a certain level or position. But, that was always something where it's like, I think there was a point where I did want to get it, but I didn't. It was almost because my mom had hers, and now I don't. I'm like, I don't have a reason to get one, but it's not like a possibility. It is a possibility, but I just, like, that's stressful. Going to graduate school, man. Like my mentor at U of A told me that I wasn't. She was like, "You're unorganized. Like, you gotta be organized for graduate school." and so, like, I feel like I'm not graduate school material in the sense of, like, having to want those type of stressors. Like, I can do it, but, like, it would just stress me out to do it. And so, like, but then I have that legacy of, like, well, your mom did it, so you have to do it. In my head, this is all in my head. No one's saying this to me. It's all in my head. But that's what I'm saying. Like, there's some stresses of, oh yeah, I gotta do my taxes, and then there's some stresses of, like, I wanna bring honor to my family, and I also wanna, still have my own identity in the world too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess it's like what are you willing to bite into?
Yeah.
Because the stress is going to come regardless. I guess is what kind of stress do you want to put up with?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I was asking that because, so I don't know. I mean, like my mom, like, I don't know. I didn't feel like my mom wanted me to get A's all the time. It was more just finish.
Yeah.
So I don't remember always stressing out about grades, but I just remember, like, you're not just gonna kick back.
Mm-hmm.
That was always just like when I didn't go to school, she has chores for me to do. So it was never a kickback session.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of cleaning and just labor.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, but then I think that still works in my favor because again, that's a part of my style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's become part of you.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's your own input on in the universe. Like maybe some of us aren't thinking about it as much, or the impact you can have. Again, kind of going back to like when you're part of a crew and you finish what you need to do. Just because you're done doesn't mean you clock out. Like you might be able to help out. Your person working next to you. Like. I mean, I think that's a good characteristic about somebody when they're able to make everyone else around them, kind of perform better because, whether they're giving them advice or maybe they're showing them new techniques or even them just making them feel better because you're telling them a good story,
Mm.
I think, for me, I think conversation, good conversation is honey. It's like it can make time be smooth. It can actually numb the stress,
There you go. So a positive habit or what were we saying? Positive
dialogue.
Well, yeah, you're talking about dialogue, but I'm saying like that could be a positive way to develop a positive habit of dealing with stress.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I said that.
Yeah, that's what you said. Sure.
But no, I guess it's like maybe I deal with my stress by having those conversations about whatever it is.
Yeah.
Chopping it up. I remember there was a professor. Oh man, he was a cool guy at TLCC. And
name?
I just remember it's weird because he just went by like Julio or something. But if his name comes to me, I'll bring it up.
Okay.
But he started off the classroom pretty much saying we're just going to talk, and he said but I can't remember where I think it was in Hawaii where he was saying they would say talk story. And that was kind of his philosophy in the classroom. It's just let's talk story.
Cool.
And so it was always just sort of just really natural, not I'm lecturing to you, but it's just let's just talk about what we're reading and pull from that. And
you remember the class?
I think it was world history.
World history.
But then I want to say he also taught a Holocaust class. I remember having for 2 different
no kidding.
subjects, but I think it was a history class where he was saying top story.
Yeah.
But I like to use that phrase because it's just in the conversation we'll get the information out, but it's let's just paint a picture with the words, and then pull from that.
Wow.
Why am I talking about this?
We're just talking like this is how you
deal with my stress. Yeah.
And he was somebody who maybe led to that. Led to this good conversation that you're talking about?
Yeah, well, I think I kind of used that style. I was just sort of let's just have a conversation for now, and maybe the business or the important stuff that we really need to talk about, we'll just kind of naturally fall in that.
Maybe this is why I think you're such a cool guy. Why you're such an even keel. Maybe you picked up a little bit of that talk story.
Maybe.
Sorry.
I remember I've never heard anyone say even keel in a while. Well, when I first heard that, I had to look it up and read about it, but there's a lot of nautical and boat metaphors, with boats and being at sea.
I wonder if that's like a culture in I don't want to say stress management, but maybe them being out in the ocean, interacting with the power of the sea, kind of leads to a life of maybe not relaxation, but a sense of freedom. I don't know if we're even going to get to the mushrooms right now, but there is a proven, or they're starting to work on proving it, is developing, or it's a key to interacting with this complete feeling of the word they used a lot was love, being loved and feeling loved. There's a complete sense of security in, I guess, freedom of self that really relaxed people, people who are dealing with stress, PTSD, depression, addiction. These people would come in contact with this, higher power during a trip, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what the scientific term for a trip is, let's call it a trip. Alright, so these people would go on their trip, they'd have this amazing experience, and they come into contact with this I want to say it was a higher power for me, and I'm not saying God or whatever. Maybe it was, I don't know. It was coming in contact with a feeling of absolute love, pleasure, and it was a release. Ultimately, I was freeing myself, or being freed of the bonds of, I guess, the bonds that we put on ourselves. Like, I put a lot of pressure on myself to succeed, to do well.
Mm-hmm.
I got the little voice in my head where it's like, all right, you gotta do better than this, or is this what you want to do? And when you really question yourself or get stressed out, like we've been talking about, we have a tendency to kind of invert in ourselves, to kind of get down on ourselves. We talked about the bad habits, which could lead to addiction and depression, or you could have a really horrible experience, like going to war, or having, I think our audience might have an understanding of alcoholism in the family, where, one or both parents are, in the bag all the time, and it leads to these really horrible experiences, which I personally have had. And it's, you come back, you get through it, hopefully, if you do, and a lot of times you come out with PTSD. And when I felt the ultimate love and energy, this power, I'll say it again, I keep saying it, kind of describe it, I can't, but it's like, I call it plugging in. And it was to the energy of the world, the energy of the people, maybe it even included the plants. Why it felt so powerful, like there was so much energy that it was overwhelming and beautiful. Like, I cried tears, and it wasn't like pain, it was like satisfaction and self-love. And it was releasing all these bonds that I had put on myself, that other people put on me, that, these stressors that we give to ourselves and people give to us and that we experience. And when you can be released to that in a positive, kind of clean, I don't know any other way to describe it, when you let go of it, even if it's just for a moment, there's a happiness and a satisfaction and I want to say completeness. Like I got it. Like a lot of, like the girl with the bad grade. She didn't get it. She didn't get what she wanted. She didn't get satisfaction. She thought she was losing her chance at her future. My bad experiences, like when I was down low, it was like, man, this is the end, or like if somebody comes face to face with death and it's like, man, it's over. And there's fear. There's like, oh, did I do enough? Have I, am I unsatisfied? Did I get what I needed to get done in my short amount of time to be happy if this is it?
Yeah.
And I think what I was talking about earlier when I was saying like, oh, I'm getting older, I've had health scares. It's like, okay, it put me in terms of, am I doing what I want to do? And it was a resounding no at the time. I was like, no, this isn't it. I'm not over. So, like we were talking about positive stressors. I don't know if it's a positive one, but it's led to me trying new things, which is always a good thing. Well, maybe not if it's like it leads you down the wrong path, but what it put in me was a fear of not meeting my complete and full potential. It's like, all right, I have all this potential, I have the ability to do all these things, but am I doing enough right now? Am I doing it so that if this is it, will I be happy with what I've done? And some people where they're like, oh, you die, that's it. Who gives a crap if you did it? It's like, cause you're not there to reflect on it. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't, but it's like, all right, I think if you think that way, it's kind of small. It's kind of like, all right, that's the end of the road. But maybe that would drive somebody who thinks that way to strive every day, every single day, every moment to reach their full potential. But it's definitely put something in me where I'm like, am I doing enough? Am I reaching my full ability? Have I done enough yet?
Yeah.
And at the time, it was no. Even now, I'm sure it's still no. But I've definitely taken a courageous path, or at least in my eyes, that I'm glad I did.
Yeah. Now there's a Tupac quote where he's like, I may not change the world, but I may spark, but I will spark the brain of someone who will.
Nice.
I think that's kind of where maybe I might not reach that full potential, but I'm going to try. Yeah. But maybe someone watching will be inspired and they'll try to do the same, or even accomplish or exceed and do way more than what was possible. I think what we're talking about too is like the possibility versus the outcome and the action. Like we could be doing these amazing things, but it's taking on amazing stress as well. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times we're dodging the stress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well. Yeah. There's a bob and weave to life. You're not always jet set and lined up perfectly to take on every stressor the most perfect way.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll go to the gym, another time you'll eat a sandwich, or you'll pick up a beer, and I'm not saying any one way is wrong.
No.
Like who's to say? Who's to tell? Like who's to judge?
Yeah.
But I think what it comes down to is that self-satisfaction that you can't really get from anybody else but you.
Yeah, but like what you were saying, like sometimes you need to get smacked in the face.
Yeah.
To try to see that, because well, I think that's the struggle of life is we work to get comfortable, but being comfortable isn't always the best. Mm-hmm. So like it's understanding that you have to work and work, but it's like understanding that it shouldn't be comfortable. It's almost like being comfortable in an uncomfortable setting, because you're always going to be constantly tested and put under that stress. So like, I don't know if it's just I don't know, do you think people are, if we were to do a test on have a group study of people and we were to ask them like, are you really maximizing your potential, or are you chasing a bigger goal or a dream, or do you have I don't know, like what will we get back, like are we living in a world where people are actually trying to reach that level, or are we in a world where it's okay to just half-ass it? Because sometimes it seems like that's what we're living in.
Yeah.
Where we can get away with sliding, like just not really going the full sprint.
Alright.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious. I kind of want you to elaborate on this world. Are you saying this world as an Earth, humans, or do you kind of also mean living on the res?
I think it's just being human in this time where I don't know where there's a lot more guidelines and there's higher ups and there's I don't know. It just seems there's a lot more red tape, and it's easier to complain than work around those red tape.
Can I throw out some examples here?
Yeah.
What I think you're touching on here, or maybe answers to the question you kind of posed about what kind of world we're living in. You mind if I just do a few, like, or at least if I can see if we're on the same page?
Yeah.
Because you were saying, and I'm seriously sorry for just interrupting you on that, but I think we're going towards the same end goal here. So you asked, are we living in a world where it's best to strive, or is it best to coast? Or or a world where it's okay to coast versus going out and reaching your full potential? And is everybody doing that, or is it just you? Is it just me? Is it just that one? Like a Nobel laureate or something like. I always like the idea when people go, oh well, there's no failure out in the world. There's just attempts at success. The more attempts you get, the more ways doesn't work, and it leaves you more open to go out and get it. To know, all right, well, that didn't work, so I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to try a new one. And the more you fail, the more times you can go, oh, well, that's 100 ways not to do it, so even better. I'm getting closer to what I'm going for. And the reason I brought up the res was there's been some times, like a bunch of times, even now, where I think I'm at my most peaceful sometimes, when it's like you can sit back a little and go, I can relax right now. Or maybe I've been going, go for so long that every now and then you gotta just sit down, put your feet up and breathe, and then you get a taste of that nirvana, that relaxation, that that good feel.
Yeah.
And like when I was saying earlier about you're seeking out your self-satisfaction. I was saying, like, all right, you come across somebody who they're in the gym, 60 hours a week or something. Like they're in there more than they're at work or something. Like they're in there, and like when I look at somebody like that, they're getting buff, and it's like, man, I'd like to be buff, but I don't want to be 40 and have both my knees blown out and all my muscles are they're going to be deteriorated or something. Like a runner, they see themselves as healthy as hell. They're running all the time. They're like, screw you fat people, I'm healthy. And then they die of a heart attack. It's like there's... My point of view is you do what feels right, and you can really, really tell when you really, nail it. Like, when it feels right, you fucking know it. It feels right. Mm-hmm. And I get glimpses of it all the time. I've been down the cut, straight down the middle on it, on point. And even right now, I'm not doing a whole bunch more than this podcast and all these projects that I made promises about. But it's at the same time, I'm not like 40 hours a week, but it feels right. Like I've needed this peace. Like there's been like turmoil going on, tumultuous. It's been tumultuous. Like it's been wavy and like out of control. And now, there's less control, or maybe even the need to seek control. And it feels right. All right, like you know what I'm saying? Like.
Yeah.
I think again, go all the way back to what you're saying earlier about perspective. We all have our own path. We all have something that feels right. We all have something that we're seeking. And maybe it's meaning, maybe it's a big house, big car, big ass paycheck, perfect physique, rock hard abs. Is that your goal? You want rock hard abs, and now that you got a 12-pack, you got a 6-pack, and then there's another 6 on top of that, and it just keeps going up. And wow, now you're super satisfied with that. Or maybe you want a great job, a great title, and a 6-pack. It's like if you're getting that, and it's what you wanted, and you know it's what you want, then cool. But when I see that, it's like, it looks exhausting. Do I want to... I've had jobs where it felt fantastic, but a big ass, beer gut, and I was happy with that. It's like it was okay. And other times I'll look at a 6-pack and it's like, that's gross. And other times I'm like, I could get that. I could get that for sure. I don't think I've ever had a 6-pack, but it's like. All right.
Oh, you got a 6-pack.
I've had cases, but I'm saying like where are you coming from? Where's your perspective? Where does it feel right? I'm not there yet. Right now, I've been there, but I'm not there right now. And am I coming across on what you were headed towards, or did I just screw up like your speech? Did I just jump in at the wrong time?
No, I wasn't going anywhere with that. But I think, hearing you speak to that, to where I think, there are times when, you need to be lazy. I think that kind of sets balance to what it is you really want to be working on. But there's this need to learn and to want to, sharpen your skill or to see what else is out there, or to go further, to get to that next level. And all like that, like manifesting a 6-pack, by putting in that time.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, I guess it's, are we putting in the time, or are individuals putting in the time to actually get what they want, or are they putting in the time to get by? Just to, because not everybody wants to, to get, well, I guess what's ideal for humans,
Well, I think the real ideal is to figure that out for yourself, your individual self. Because all right, so a minute ago you used the word lazy, and I thought about it. And I'm like, well, I could easily be called lazy right now, but at the same time, when I look at it, I'm like, I'm at peace. I'm available. Like I've been going to work straight up. Living in town straight up maybe the past 9 or 10 years. And in doing that, I haven't been available for anything. I missed a Vegas trip for my parents when they were getting remarried. I wasn't there for the first marriage, and I completely regret not being there for their remarriage.
Oh, wow.
And that hurt, and it always stuck in my mind, like, I fucking missed that, because I had to work. And you go, okay, is it more important to get a paycheck that I probably blew, or was it to see the first time in person my parents getting married? You know, like when I first came down here, it was back and forth. It was like there was a guilt, like, I need to stay busy, so I was working really hard. I was knocking out all these projects that I had made so many promises to do, but I was never here long enough to do them.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the same time, I was like, all right, there was vacations that I could have gone to but didn't because I was at work. Or I was doing this, or I was doing that, and then I came down here and it was like, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. There was a week where it was like, all right, there's a three-day vacation. Then there was a week where I kind of worked between it, and then I went on another vacation the very next week. Should we be vacationing that much? No, but I felt like I was making up for lost time. All right? And then at the same time, like, I've had people ask me while I was in town, like, hey, could you roll out and help me move? I was like, absolutely not. I got to get to sleep so I can go to work tomorrow. And I let that friend down. Now if they ask, I'll be like, yeah, sure, let's do it. I'm here. There's freaking wakes of good people that I've missed, and that's really important to me, to pay that last respect, to go, throw a shovel in the dirt and lift it myself. I've dug graves, but I've missed a bunch while I've been in town. Not everybody gets buried on the weekend. So that's what I'm saying, is like, I feel like I'm making up for lost time, but at the same time, like, there's been some pretty hardcore moments where I kind of looked at myself in the mirror or looked around me and went, oh, this is why I left the res. It's like, this is why I don't want to be here. And it's like, oh, and I forgot that because I've been, busy. I've been doing all this stuff. Some people will say, hey, the idle hands are the devil's playpen, and maybe that was right for a while, but now it's like, hey, I'm available to work. Somebody asks for help, I can say yes, or I can choose to say yes. Where in the past I had no choice. But now I'm in an environment down here where it's a lot harder. It's always been hard to get work down there.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're willing to do some pretty hardcore stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, there's a measure of seeking what you want, and it really depends on you and your perspective, where you are in your life. And for me, like, I feel like I'm making up for lost time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm making myself available to my parents, who I think they were long overdue for not even just work, but companionship. Like, they needed help, and now I'm available to do that. I ask, and sometimes they still turn me down. And no, I got it. It's like, all right, but I'm here to help. Well, before, I was up here and not down there. Like, I'm here now, but I'm saying, like, that was 180 miles, or 100 miles out there to the Ville. 2 hour trip. Maybe I have the vehicle, maybe I don't. And it's like, all right, can I pull that off and still get to work tomorrow? Can I do that? No. So it's like, there are positives and negatives for sure. I could be called lazy, and I don't like being called lazy.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like I said, tumultuous. I was, maybe that first week off, man, I had been working overnight, so like every day when I was trying to be awake or trying to get to sleep, it was like I was always watching the clock. It's like, oh man, I was living my life by the clock. And there was a week after I had stopped working, I had given my 2 week, I gave them a month's notice. And at the end, I still wasn't completely sure I was ready to leave. So they still needed help. They always need help over there. But I was like, all right, am I sure? I looked at my boss and said, I gotta go. And then I went, and maybe a week after, I was still here in town. I was like closing up my affairs, you know, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and normally I went to work about 9 o'clock. And I woke up and it was midnight, and I freaked the fuck out. I kicked the blankets out. I'm rolling over. I'm like, oh fuck, this is, oh shit, I'm late. And I looked, I tried to grab my phone. I was like, where's my phone? Like, what time is it? And like, all this stress, all this sweat, like rushing at me. And that was the kind of environment I put myself in, the hours I was working.
Yeah.
And it hit me. You don't have to get up right now. Go back to bed. And suddenly I was just washed with this relief, this serenity, like, oh God. And I didn't realize that that's how stressed out I was.
Mm-hmm.
It was eating me up, man, like eating me alive. I wasn't even aware of it. I was just going to work, being a good employee, come home, work an extra hour or two if you have to get the job done. Come in a little early if they ask. Like I was doing good. I was moving up. But I was living by the clock, living and dying by the clock, you know, and I need some time off. And now I'm available again on the reservation here in Tucson, whatever. I can make these calls. Like, it fell through, but my sister needed some help going to Seattle. Go do like a move. Like she had all this stuff still up there, and I was like, well, yeah, I can go. I didn't exactly have the money, but I had the option to say, yeah, I'll go.
Yeah.
I can help. Absolutely.
Huh.
So, you know,
I think we're at, well,
go ahead.
I mean, just kind of like hearing you talk and just sort of, well, tying it into what we're getting at is sort of, you don't want to get to that point where you're saying, I wish I wasn't doing that, I wish I was doing this, versus I did what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes we do those things like that, like maybe work a job that pays the bills, but you know it's not fulfilling, or you know it has nothing to do with what you're passionate about or something like that, to where I'd rather not look back and be like, no, why did I spend so much time doing this when I really wanted to be doing that?
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're talking about, is looking back and being aware of what we did with our time.
Mm-hmm.
So like, you know, hearing what you're saying, but then also kind of how it's still stressful, but it's like it's more stress that's relatable to, you know why I'm here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a lot of stress associated with, am I still going to be able to pay the bills? I still got a son. I still got to make sure he's fed. I still got to help his mom. You know, I've got the 2 stepkids that they're in my life. You know, I got to put in my work with them. I got to put in some time with them. And being separated and living on my own and working a job like that, there's no time for that at all.
Yeah.
So it's like,
it's kind of isolating, you know.
It truly was. I was making friends, and they were getting off at 11 o'clock, and they're like, "Hey man, come out come to the house. Hey, we're having a dinner. Come to the house at 8. And, you know, we'll have a couple beers. And I'd go, and I'd just turn down some beers. I'd say, well, I'll eat, but I got to go to work. And not that that's a huge thing. Like, I put a lot less, like, on getting out and drinking and putting in that time, but it was isolating, for sure.
Yeah.
Harder to make friends when you're always going, oh, look, I gotta go to work. I can't come and hang out with you guys. I can't go on this trip. I can't meet you and go dancing. I was like, I gotta go to work. And I get, you know, again, this point in your life, where do you put your values? Where do you put these priorities? Is it dancing and drinking, or is it paying the bills? Is it showing up when you said you would?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
well,
there you go.
Man, I mean, I think it's that time you're like that. When you're always putting aside everything else to do this. If this is something you really want to do, it's worth it. But if it's something where you're doing it just to, you know, like you said, it's paying the bills, but it's not. It's nothing to do with, you know, what you're passionate about. So, I don't know. Are you? Well, we say that all the time. Like, what are you doing with your time?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's a strange thing.
So, again, I'm gonna go to movies here. There was a really great line, Legend of the Falls, really awesome movie. And they're talking about Tristan, Brad Pitt, badass. And they were talking, Tristan's bear, he had paired with his bear. He had a bear in him. You know, the native dude was talking about him. It's like, hey, like this was the time of his life where the bear was hibernating, or this is the time where the bear was angry and violent. And he's freaking out and screaming, and having to be held down, and he's angry about what happened and his past. And then there was a time of peace in his life, and it was like there was an ebb and flow to this whole big, long journey in this guy's life. And I think, I guess what I was getting at about all this expressiveness about, like, what am I doing? I guess what I'm getting at is it's very, very easy to lose sight of the bigger picture. Like, it's like, the bill, like, so we keep bringing up bills, and I think that's a huge driver in a lot of people's lives. Gotta keep their car, gotta keep a house, gotta keep the food, have to. And then, if you think about it, it's like, gotta live that good life, too. But you can have this, but you can't have that. I think I've even said before, people have said, you want to have your cake and eat it, too. And I lost my shit, like, that's the stupidest shit I ever heard. If you're gonna have some cake, eat that motherfucker. Don't let it go to waste in your, in your fridge or whatever, like, whatever the expression is. It's like, I was mad the first time anybody ever said it to me. Like, you want to have your cake and eat it too. I'm like, bitch, what else is cake for? Like, what are you doing? What are you talking about? So it's like, alright, maybe the cake in your life is the good life. Which again is maybe paid bills in a car and a house, or maybe you were there when your parents needed you, or maybe you found peace because all your life you've been just going. And it's like a lot of times we get that tunnel vision, and you're doing what you're supposed to, which sounds great and looks good on paper, But like I wanted to say as you were talking, I was thinking when you were mentioning paying the bills, I was like, all right, maybe I'm paying the earthly bills, but I'm skipping on the the heart check. I'm not paying the bills on my heart. I'm not going where I'm supposed to be, where I'm needed. And there is a difference.
Yeah.
People talk about the dead-end job or the wasting life. I was there. I've been there. I've already had a few times since I've been back here going, what the hell am I doing? What was I thinking?
Yeah.
I've tried it and failed a few times here. And again, it's like, all right, perspective. Am I doing more good than bad? Am I happy with what I'm doing? Is this what I came for? The questions, the questions that we all have.
Yeah.
I feel like we've said it before, as long as you're asking questions, as long as you're seeking out the ignorance that you have, as long as you're on the mission, on point, keep your eye on the ball, whatever the expression is, if you're doing what you feel you're supposed to do or not. And sometimes it's easy to go, oh yeah, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, but that's because you're talking about just your bills. And maybe not your life, maybe not your experience, maybe not your dream job. I could be paying my bills and traveling the world. I could be paying my bills and just being the family man. I could be paying my bills and drinking day in, day out. Like whatever it is, partying, dancing, whatever, just having the time of my life. I could be doing that and paying my bills. Or just paying my bills. Like there's a difference for sure. And it has to do with that goal. It has to do with the perspective. It has to do with knowing the difference. And it's not always easy to see the lines.
Yeah. I think that's where I brought up tax. Like, the taxes, because it's like, maybe not all of us have the same size goals, or our ambitions are not at the same caliber to where somebody is doing more or maybe not doing as much as you think they can, but they're okay with it because that's just what I think we're so, and it's probably the media where we compare and contrast, and we know so much, and we have so much information to where I don't know if that just kind of like blurs our reality of like what we all could be doing, or what could we all how we all could be reaching our wholeness, or that level of high potential to where I don't know, like, does the media ruin our own individual vision of ourselves because they're constantly comparing and pointing out who they think is top shit, or maybe they are top shit, but it doesn't matter because everyone's different. So trying to compare and contrast doesn't get you anywhere. Well, we're constantly doing that.
Oh yeah, it's so easy to just see that.
Yeah.
Or to compare yourself. And
I think too, like it kind of reminds me of this class I took where it was traditional ecological knowledge, to where it was like it was science, but it was more traditional science based on like maybe a particular region or area.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But like in the book, they talk about like a Western philosophy of science is based off of like of numbers and data. Like that's how we base science, off of data.
Mm.
Like we have to run the tests, and then we go off of the percentages, like the probability of this is gonna majority of the time it's gonna land on this, so we're just gonna say it's gonna be this because we have the data to back that up. But like in some like indigenous land, like they're looking for that one time where it's not gonna go that way. I wish I could find that quote. I'm butchering it, but it's like if you roll a dice and it always lands on 9 100 times, but you roll it 101 times and it goes to not 9, it's 8. And from an indigenous perspective, you're gonna still look for that 8, even though you're gonna get the 9.
Yeah. I see where you're going with it. Yeah.
I think we need to bring this up as another episode because I'm messing it up. But what I'm saying is, sometimes going after what's not there but it's really there. I don't know. I think I'm lost. We're bringing up a lot of different things, but
I'm struggling what we're gonna name this thing. Say there's 2 people rolling a dice, and you're rolling a 9 every time. Some people will go, "Oh, you're very consistent," and you're like, "Yeah, like it's great. I'm on it." And the guy next to you's rolling his dice, and he's all over the place, and he's like, "All I ever needed in my life was that 8. I wish I had a fucking 9." And he can't roll 9 for the rest, whatever he's worth. He can't get it. And this other guy's like, "I'm so fucking sick of 9s. I could just go for one different number." And he looks at the guy next to him, and he's rolling different numbers up and down, and he's living this, who knows what's going to happen next. Maybe that's exciting to the number 9 guy.
Yeah.
So, I think that's one. I think it's human to compare ourselves to others, but I think it's kind of horrible to look at somebody else and go, "Oh, well, what are they like? Oh, they can't. They're not doing right." It's like, yeah, well, look at the perspective. Like maybe the dude who's maybe there's some rich guy comes into a car wash and he's getting his car washed, and he looks at the guy running around and he's telling all these kids like, "Hey, do this, do that, spray the car, whatever." The rich guy looks at the guy washing, calling shots at a car wash, and he's like, pathetic. That guy needs to get out there and get the big bucks.
Mm.
And then maybe to that guy, he's like, well, all my life I've only ever been good enough to be the car washer guy. But now I own this car wash, and I'm telling other people what to do. And I'm getting the fatter paycheck, and I'm a success. And I'm completely happy. I'm paying my bills. I'm getting shit done. And he's happy.
Yeah.
And then this rich guy, I don't know. Maybe he's completely happy too, but he looks... I think this will become a perspective episode or something like that, because we're all on our own paths, and to look at the same thing and see different things is kind of human. It's kind of a human characteristic. Like, you can look at the same painting and go, "Oh, this is a piece of shit." And somebody else will go, "This is a masterpiece. It's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars." And somebody else is like, "I wouldn't hang that up in my bathroom." That's a good doormat. I'll take that painting and put it in front of my door and wipe my muddy boots on it. It means nothing to me. It's worth nothing. So I guess what I'm saying is, I'm talking to the listeners. Try and keep perspective. Try to remember how you started, where you're going, and live in the journey. And be aware of that tunnel vision. Be aware of the other guy. And I'm not saying, go compare yourself to the other guy. I'm saying be aware of what you got and don't got. And I think it's very important to seek the peace. Very important to seek a little bit of happiness. And move the cheese. I think we've said that before. It's important to move the cheese.
Yeah.
To keep things fresh. And I think if you're comparing yourself to other people and not liking what you're seeing, you need to sit down and figure out, is that the time to move the cheese? Or maybe it's the time to figure out why.
Yeah.
Don't just quit your job like I did, though. I mean, I did it for my reasons, but I'm saying, like, I had been thinking about it for a long time, and finally did it, and I'm happy with it. It's not always going to work out that way, but keep perspective, know what you're after, know where you came from, and don't forget where you came from. And it's very important every now and then to step back and just enjoy the ride.
Reminds me of the rapper 50 Cent. He's talking. He's in the hotel, this fancy hotel, and he's like in between meetings, and he's on the phone, like doing whatever he's doing, running his little side hustles, his projects. He does a lot of things, but there's a point where he's talking about looking out the window of the hotel on a phone call, and he sees this guy playing handball across the street, and he's like, just having the time of his life. To 50's perspective, like, this guy is like just living it up, like midday, he has no care in the world, he's just playing handball, and 50's like, man, I'm working so hard, I got people calling me, like, asking my opinion, like, and I'm doing this because I'm thinking it's making me happy, and then I look out and I see this guy, and and it looks like he's more happier than me, and he's just playing handball. But then he goes on to say this, but I don't know. This guy could be kicked out of his house. You know, he could be, you know, having a fight with his lady. You know, he could be homeless. You know, it was just, you know, all these comparisons and thoughts that run through our head where, you know, we do compare and we do think, and even going back to West where he was talking about, you know, the grass being greener on the other side, but also sort of appreciating the grass you have, you're in.
Yeah.
But I think it's not good to compare.
Yeah.
I mean, but we do it constantly, or I think we'll continue to do it, but I think we do it for discussion, but in the grand scheme of things, there's not one thing that's identical to another. We all have our own story. So, those who try to, you know, look at it through another one's perspective, or think that they have something better, or they're missing something that you have, and I think it's just it gets in the way of what was, you know, what was supposed to be. Well, I don't know. I mean, again, we're talking about good stress and bad stress to where, like, what is it, like envy, like, you know, they say like envy is, I don't know. Yeah. You think envy is a bad thing, or you think envy is a?
They call it one of the deadly sins.
Yeah.
You know?
Is it?
Yeah. Envy is one of them. Like, yeah. Remember at the end of 7, he's just like, man, I envy you so much, and that was like the final thing. He's like, man, you got the life, and the whole time he was bitching about it, like halfway through the movie. Like, man, this is.
Oh yeah,
I want to go to California where it's sunny. He's talking all this shit, and then this crazy psychopath murderer guy's like, man, you've got it all, and I completely envy you. It's this. I think it's like a game we play ourselves into. We trick ourselves, and we really need to just keep it in check. Like check ourselves every now and then, like the kick in the teeth, kick in the ass, a little fire under your ass.
Yeah.
And it's funny, but like that guy, it felt insulting. It felt like, damn, I'm not as good as I thought I was when that manager pulled me aside, but at the same time, he was doing me a solid and kind of refocusing me, and it stuck with me. I'll never forget that. So it's like, and like whenever I was at work, and like, you know, I didn't even have to think about that, but I would feel like I wasn't doing enough because I knew what I could do. I was like, man, I need to do more. Like, I didn't want to stand around and just talk.
Yeah.
I wanted to work and talk or something, or I don't know. Like, it just felt wrong to stand around sometimes. It's like, man, I better be doing something. And it didn't take a manager watching me. I managed myself. So, you know, whatever you want to call that, I think we need to keep it in check, keep ourselves in check, keep remembering that, like I said, the beginning, middle, and end, we got to keep an eye on that. And I think it's also important, like, to realize that the end isn't predetermined. And, you know, I think I like the other expressions where it's like, hey, tomorrow's another day. Like Ben Franklin was pretty badass. I don't know his whole history, so don't call me on that. But or maybe it was Einstein. It said, "Don't put off." I think it was Ben Franklin. Don't put off what you can do today Don't put off what you can do today for tomorrow. If you can do it today, do it. Don't put it off till tomorrow. And I like that. I like it a lot. I don't always stick to that, but I liked that, and it stuck with me.
Yeah. Huh.
There you go. Just some food for thought, people. If you're listening, if you're still listening, think about it. Question it as often as you have to keep yourself in check and stay on whatever path you're on. And remember, there's always splits in the path. There's always a choice every now and then. I think it's really exciting when there is a choice.
Yeah. Decisions.
Yeah, and the unknown. I think some of my greatest points in my life and feelings were when I was just going headlong into the darkness and didn't know what was on the other end. It was a gamble, but in the end, whether it came out right or wrong, I enjoyed going in. It was exciting every time. What could happen? What if? Just what if? Yeah, I think the other expression was like, your life isn't over today. It's like, alright, if everything's been going horrible all the way up till today, right now it's in your power to change tomorrow. What are you going to do? You know, if it's crappy, start the new path. Like, find that way to get it right. And don't ever stop trying to get it right. You know, you're not your past.
Yeah.
That was a big one for me. You're not your past. I've screwed up plenty of times. And that's both strengthened me and made me weary. Made me kind of weary about taking a chance. But 9 times out of 10, I was happy I did.
Yeah?
Yeah. So, unless you have anything else to say, I think that's all we have to say.
Yeah, I had something, but then I forgot it. Again.
Yeah. Next episode, brother.
Well, yeah, it was...
Next podcast.
Yeah, for real. But... There's so many different things that we're talking about, but, it's not being worried about what the next person's doing.
Mm.
But I don't know. I guess it always reminds me of Little Wayne when it's like a little person never hurt, you know, like you know, that's where the greatness comes from. I think that's where our procrastination is kind of playing with too. Where
right on the cusp.
Yeah, where it's like I got it like that, you know, because the cockiness or the confidence, whatever you want to say, but you know that's helpful, you know.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, so be confident in what you're doing, but also believe in what you're chasing.
Nice.
Because, yeah, you don't want to look back and like, oh man, why did I spend my time doing that when I could care less about that? I was really into this, but it seemed hard, or I got discouraged and I quit, or I didn't think it was a possibility. I think understanding that your excuses are only excuses. Like, we can think of all the excuses in the world, but doesn't mean nothing's not possible or whatever. It's like, and we didn't talk about the shrooms, but like,
yeah.
I think there's like
there's more to say, but I think I'd like to research it a little more.
Yeah, because I remember there was this tribe in Africa where there was like variants of like a certain type of fungi or shroom that there's like in 7 areas or 7 regions, and they would like get all 7 and mix them to create this experience. It's been a while, so I don't know all the facts. But yeah,
we'll come to that, brother. I think we'll just have to do a shrooms podcast or mushrooms podcast in the future. Until then.
Well, what was this? This is like stress.
I'm designing the title right now in my head. I think it's perspective in the face of stress, fear, uncertainty. Stress, fear, and uncertainty.
Oh, meaning life
and envy. Yeah. We'll talk about it off this. Let's finish this, and we'll arrange the title. Okay.
Drama.
Yeah. Intrigue. Envy.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to include perspective. Okay. Alright. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. We're still unfinished with this, but there's more to come. I think this is a universal topic that it's going to play into everything we do, and I think it already has, even before this podcast came about. I think it's part of the human condition that we continue to tap on this podcast. Is where I think a lot of what we talk about is even bigger than the res and bigger than just being native. I think it's a human experience that we keep tapping into, and I think when we really get down to the meat and potatoes of it, that's when we come out with a good podcast, is talking about these deeper meanings and issues that we all have. Our more interesting is our commonality, I think, often with everybody on the planet than just us natives. So we'll be back, people. Like, this is not the end. The season is only halfway through. Okay?
Whoa.
Yeah. Right?
Heavy stuff, man.
Heavy duty. Alright, everybody. Thanks for listening, and see you next time, right?
Peace out.
Peace.